everyone. We're continuing with our series on how do we move forward through difficult times. And we've been in the Psalms because the psalmists have a great ability to show us that believers can still struggle and be in distress and duress, and yet they find their hope, their trust in God's promises of what He is going to do one day, someday. And we see that as well in Psalm 63. Psalm 63 is a psalm of David. David is in the wilderness. Now, the wilderness is probably not as bad as the year 2020 so far. That was a joke. The wilderness, you're in a desolate place. He is in hiding, and he writes these words to God that show that even in distress, his soul, it longs for God. And that reveals to us one thing that I hope we get today, that I hope we understand, and this is like the takeaway, is that we were made for God, to worship Him, to glorify Him, to enjoy Him, to trust Him, to rest in Him, to draw our strength from Him. And so as we read Psalm 63, just a few verses of it, I hope we see our need to echo the words of David and the mindset of David, that our soul longs for relationship with the Lord, because that's where we find our strength. That's where we find our hope. So Psalm 63. O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. So I've looked upon you in the sanctuary, beholding your power and glory, because your steadfast love is better than life. My lips will praise you. So I will bless you as long as I live. In your name I will lift up my hands. My soul will be satisfied as with fat and rich food. My mouth will praise you with joyful lips when I remember you upon my bed and meditate you in the watches of the night. For you have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I will sing for joy. My soul clings to you. Your right hand upholds me. That's as far as I'm going to go in Psalm 63. And I just want us to just look at a couple of things. First, that David's soul, while he's in the wilderness, while he is in distress, it still seeks and hungers and thirsts for God. Look at verse 1. My flesh faints for you as in a dry and weary land. Verse 1, my soul thirsts for you. He longs and desires spiritual strength and nourishment. He hungers for the Lord. And he speaks, and we know he's saying that because he knows that I have experienced the power and glory in worshiping you in your holy temple, but also I know that you and your word, they are amazing food. Look at verse 5. My soul will be satisfied as with fat and rich food, and my mouth will praise you with joyful lips when I remember you upon my bed and meditate on you in the watches of the night. You see that? How God and His Word, they provide this amazing nourishment, a feast of nourishment for David, yet while he's in the wilderness. That is how powerful and important God is to David, and how important His Word is to David. Now, also look at verse 7. You have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I will sing for joy. I don't want to ruin anything, because the wing analogy, the metaphor here, it is throughout the Psalms. It's in Psalm 91, which I'm looking forward to preaching on soon. And it's the idea of these wings protecting and covering David. And so in the protection of God's wings, David finds rest, David finds joy, he finds restoration. Why is all this important? Why does he desire and crave and hunger for the Lord? Why? Verse 3. And I think this is the take-home verse. Why is God so important? Why is God the one thing he longs for, hungers for, and desires? Verse 3. I think this is the take-home verse. Because your steadfast love is better than life. That's it right there. Your steadfast love is better than life. That's what gives David life and strength. That's what gives him a feast in the wilderness for his soul. It's because he knows the promises of God, the steadfast faithfulness and love of God can give him absolute life, absolute certainty of what is going to happen one day in glory. God's covenant loyalty, his hesed. You might have heard that before, a hesed, faithfulness, covenant faithfulness, never ending faithfulness and love and loyalty. That is better than life itself, David says. And the beauty of the gospel is if you're a Christian and you know that, if you are a Christian and you know that Jesus has died for you, that covenant faithfulness that is better than life for David, that is your covenant faithfulness as well. And if that is your covenant faithfulness, you have something to cling to and point to and say, the faithfulness of God is better than life itself. It's better than anything that can happen to me on this earth. And so while I'm in distress right now, I don't have to fear, for I know the faithful God has glory that awaits in the new heavens and new earth. And right now, all I am is a servant of him, enjoying him, resting in his promises, and knowing that he is who he says he is, and his promise will come to pass one day, someday in glory. Y'all, the steadfast love is better than life. The question is, do we believe that? That's my question to you. It's my question to myself when I'm in distress. Do I believe God's promises are true and that his steadfast love is better than life? If you believe that, you can get through anything because glory awaits.